Hello everyone, this is Tim from LearningFuze, and in this video I'd like to share a little tip I have for streamlining your development workflow. I work with a lot of new developers and I come across them trying to get their work done, and it turns out that they're spending a lot of time actually juggling a lot of application windows. So in this video I wanted to show you a tip for how to organize your workspaces on your laptop to help boost your productivity. Now, while you're working on your projects, you're probably going to find yourself in a situation where you need multiple windows open. And we don't always have the luxury of using an external monitor. If you do have an external monitor, I recommend using that. But if you find yourself in a situation where all you've got is your laptop, I think that this tip might actually help. Now, I've got my code editor open right here, and I've got my terminal open right here. But I'm also maybe conducting some Slack communication with some of my team members. So I've got Slack open. And I'm also comparing what I'm working on here in the browser to a design here in Figma in a separate browser tab. And I've got them side by side so I can compare what I'm working on with the actual design. Now, one of the things you might not be aware of if you're just starting out is that this context switching that you're seeing me do, where I'm swapping between windows like this is actually kind of jarring and expensive. One of the things that programming takes is concentration, and if you throw interruptions in your own way, that can lead to things slowing down. And I often will forget what I'm doing if I find myself in this situation. So there is actually a way that we can kind of get around this. Now, right now I've got windows stacked on top of each other. Some of you may be familiar with commands like Command Tab or Alt Tab to switch between windows. And that's great. However, it's not always super smooth because I just switched back from my browser to my editor, but I want to see my editor and my terminal at the same time. So here's how we get around that. On Mac OS, you have a couple of options. You can three-finger swipe up, or you can press the Control key and up. And while we're in this mode where we would normally start hunting and pecking for the window that we're looking for, what we do instead is we go here and we click on this plus. Now we have a second desktop. So we can actually drop things onto this second desktop. Put the browser windows over there. And we want to keep Slack open. Let's go ahead and make a third desktop. We'll drop Slack on there. So if I'm working in my code editor, I've just got my code editor and I've got my terminal open. If I want to see the stuff in my browser, I hold Control and I press right. And now I'm looking at my browser windows. If I want to go to Slack, I hold Control and press right again. So we're able to context switch a little bit more fluidly between the different screens that we're using, just because we don't have access to multiple monitors right now, without kind of fanning everything out and then hunting and pecking for what we were looking for. Okay, so we're going to take a look at how we can apply the same strategy using Windows 10. So very similar Windows setup. I've got my code editor over here. I've got my terminal over here. And I have a couple of browser tabs open in separate windows. Maybe I want to compare some things side by side to each other. And then I've also got Slack. And I want to be able to have all of these applications open, but I don't really want to stack them on top of each other because, once again, I've got two separate Chrome windows. So just using something like Alt Tab is nice usually, but if I want to switch back to both browser windows at the same time, I kind of have to hunt and peck them. And we really want to avoid that. We want to kind of streamline how we're switching between contexts here. So in Windows, we've got a couple of different approaches here. Usually, if your setup is still stock, you've got this little task view button. You can click on that. Or you can press Windows Tab instead of Alt Tab, and that will also bring you to the task view. Now,
at the top left here, we've got the ability to create a new desktop. So if we want to make a couple more desktops to drop all of our stuff on, let's go ahead and drag and drop Chrome to desktop 2. Let's drag Slack to desktop 3. So if I'm working on my code and I want to switch to some information in my browser, I can press Control Windows right, and that will switch me one desktop to the right. Let's do that again to get to our Slack. And then we can always move back by pressing Control Windows and left. Basically, what we've got is the ability to quickly switch between batches of windows. Again, I recommend that if you've got access to external monitors, you should definitely use them. But this should help streamline things for you if you're just working on your laptop.